Advice and exercises and anecdotes from a career in radio and TV studios and writing about all of these kind of topics as well. Hello, I'm Peter Stewart. Welcome to today's edition of Get a Better Broadcast Podcast and Video Voice. Yesterday we were looking at inflections. Today, intonation. And intonation is really the subtle combination of tone and pitch and volume that you give to individual words or phrases as part of your overall musicality of inflection. So it's much more focused, much more granular, and that's the point of, as I say, over the next several weeks. So therefore I'm going to be referring to intonation rather than inflection as the way to read conversationally with meaning. And I'm going to be careful not to use stress. And I've spoken about this before because when you're talking about stress and voice and reading and presentation, it can also be used to mean the physical or mental stress, so causing tension in the body, which leads to a change of voice, or the stress of working in a newsroom and then going in to read the news, or the stress before you go and present something on a stage, for example, or in front of a class. So I don't like using stress because it can mean something else. And I dislike using emphasis too much as well, because I think that often gives the impression that a word needs to be punched with increased energy and associated volume. And invariably, to add significance to a word or phrase, it simply needs to be slightly lifted. Slightly lifted. I didn't emphasise the word lifted. I didn't stress it. I just lifted it slightly. Or sometimes you lower something in pitch. Lower something in pitch. Yeah? So emphasis is perhaps the wrong word as well. After all, lifted and pitch. One goes up, one goes down. Using emphasis, the same word, to highlight something going up and something going down in tone doesn't really sound good enough, does it? Yeah? And additionally, we've already seen that pitch and tone are two different things. Yeah, we saw this a few weeks ago. Pitch is the register of the voice, very, very simply high and low. And I use tone for the overall sound that a story or script may be read in. Yeah, so not necessarily the tone of the voice as someone's reading it, but more the emotion of the voice in which something is being read. I think that's a better use of the word tone. So a concerned tone, a serious tone, a light-hearted tone, as opposed to using tone for the word pitch. Yeah, so I try not to use stress when we're reading. I use stress for something when you've got a lot of pressure or tension. I dislike using the word emphasis. I've got a couple of other different words that I'll use instead. Pitch is the register of the voice. Tone is the emotion that you're putting into a read. And also there's a subtle difference between volume and projection as well. And volume is a basic increase in loudness or noise along the path to shouting or raising one's voice. Projection is a more nuanced way of throwing one's voice when speaking on mic in a studio to reach out to those who you can't see. I'm projecting now, yeah, which certainly has quite a bit of volume in it, but it's not as harsh as just raising my voice, which is something that's usually associated with volume. Projection is a close cousin of lifting and emphasising a word, as we will see. Various nuances, various little ingredients come in to intonation. As I say, all of these elements interrelated. Intonation itself may involve a subtle combination of tone, as this name might suggest, intonation, and volume, and pitch, and punch as well. And we'll go through those over the next few weeks. Tomorrow, the weight and pitch of intonation, as Get a Better Broadcast Podcast and Video Voice continues. From London, I'm Peter Stewart.
do do ba.